What's up with it, gang?
Why are you shouting in my ear?
All right, Josh.
Yeah.
All right.
What's up with the gang? It's your boy Josh, back with another video, man. Today we got King Von Rap's first serial killer part 2. If y'all ain't watched part 1, stop. Watch part 1. That part 1 crazy. He what he do? He was killing on prom night, something like that. Yeah, killing on prom night. So we finna get into it. If you're new, man, like, comment, subscribe, follow the Instagram, give me the 20K on Instagram, 200K on here. Let's get straight to it, gang.
T-Roy have a problem and that they can't stop doing their thingy thing. Von would tweet that the streets are in trouble when he's coming, and he would brush off the cops' attempts to arrest him. In fact, only 2 days after the killing, he would get into an argument with a well-known Tuckerville GD known as Wooski on Twitter. Wooski had inferred that he had been out looking to catch Von that day, asking him where they were at, with Von leaving a heartless reply saying that he was getting t-shirts made for Modell's funeral. Unsurprisingly, Von would find himself on the radar of the police following the murder of Modell, getting picked up for unlawful possession of a firearm, being questioned in October.
Wait, was we on this? Probably on.
It's 30 minutes.
We passed this, right?
I think so. No, we on this part here. Just let it go, doggone it. Okay, we did 30 minutes.
With Von later tweeting that the cops grabbed him and warned him to be careful. Apparently the cops even told Von that when they question their ops, they all talk about him and T-Roy, suggesting that their names are feared in the streets. Von would even tweet after that his own mother was beginning to hear the rumors about his violent behavior in the streets, and she was trying to put him on punishment. But Von wasn't deterred.
It was at 30 minutes. Maybe the first thing after the 30.
Crack, real name Derek Johnson, would be shot multiple times in the 6200 block of South Eberhart Avenue. The 23-year-old was rushed to the hospital, but pronounced dead at 9:54 a.m. The incident report would record the time of the shooting as 9:13 a.m. in the Chicago time zone, which on Twitter, for me, would display as 3:13 p.m. That means that just 3 minutes before the recorded time of the shooting, Von tweeted, laughing my arse off. Then, at 9:13, the time that the police estimated the shooting took place, Von tweets, his 45 makes his ass do 40 flips. And then, only a few hours after this early morning murder, just after noon, Von would tweet the early bird catches the worm, and then going on to tweet about ops making the news, saying that he does his thingy thang for real, saying that he erases people like he drew them, and tweeting that his ops aren't trying to win like he is, and saying that he is doing this for OD, Platoon, Sherroid, and White White. Von would claim to be finding a lot of things funny that evening, once again tweeting numerous times that his 40 made someone do 40 flips. As the days went by, Von's tweets would get even more bold. Just the day after the murder, he would tweet pondering whether he was
it's I don't know, I think some people feel as if though pushing fate is the way to go.
And this in 2012.
Cause that's crazy. It's like you on Twitter putting that out there, and I don't even fully understand all the lingo that y'all use, but I see the connections that dude's putting together. I wonder how factual it really is according to how he's breaking it down. If it's really as he sees it, or if it's just some embellishment, you know.
In the head, and indicating that he thinks he's gone crazy. Things would get even more incriminating just 2 days later when Von put out a tweet reading, "Damn, Modell got killed in October. And Crack, who's going to get killed in November? Stay tuned." And he would tweet RIP Crack and Modell, as well as tweeting asking when the funeral is. Von would even reply to KI and Wooski, who tweeted each other about going to a funeral, with Von saying that he was on his way too, and even offering them a ride. Von also tweeted at Wooski asking if he knows who made Modell World or Crack Crew, another reference to crews renaming themselves after a fallen member who's passed away. Now at this point, Von is establishing a clear pattern, getting the location of his targets, shooting them dead, and then celebrating publicly on Twitter. And within only a few weeks of the P5 incident, yet another high-profile murder would take place, with Von's involvement having been debatable, but his Twitter account telling a very different story.
Okay, so at this point, you may not know, were the police onto him at this point? Did they know it was him?
A little bit, yeah.
Because it's a whole lot of circumstances that's been put together that they could tie him to, but well. And he got off on everything.
In November 2012, King Von would be tweeting openly about killing. He'd say that he was the go-to guy for hits in his area. He'd also say that he was the captain of the drill team, tweeting about murder and homicide, saying that he's a hitter by himself, and that the whole of O Block are coming for their ops. He would even tweet that he was sacrificing people, as well as bizarre tweets about how much he liked cereal, something that I personally believe was a coded message indicating that Von was beginning to see himself as a serial killer, something that he would continue to do throughout his career. From here, Von would continue tweeting about wanting to shoot his ops in the face and get up close and personal, alluding to committing murder and tweeting that he had big balls and does things that other people would only dream of doing. King Von would boldly tweet that he will never get convicted of a murder, saying that he would never set himself up to go down for a body. He would mock his ops, saying some make it out alive and some make it onto the news and die. Also during this time, Von would even react to Barack Obama winning the 2012 election, something ironic considering the fact that Michelle Obama apparently also hailed from O Block. But even in celebrating this monumental news, Von would also tweet that a black president with ties to his city simply wouldn't stop him from killing his ops. On November the 7th, 2012, Von would tweet about bodies dropping and beating the case. Later that evening, he would tweet that he was out sliding with T. Roy, who he himself would also tweet saying that he's about to go and get his gun, before replying to KI, who had just tweeted a list of a bunch of names of people
He did?
Before replying to KI, who had just tweeted a list of a bunch of names of people associated with O Block who had been killed, with T. Roy retaliating, providing his own list of people from KI's hood who they had apparently killed, as well as tweeting #bang just after midnight. Then, the following morning, the news would report on the shooting of a 17-year-old by the name of Rodney Stewart, aka Boss Trell. Boss Trell had been found with a gunshot wound to the head around 6:50 AM and was immediately rushed to hospital. And he would even remain alive for several hours, during which time he was visited by friends from the neighborhood like FBG Cash. But while Boss Trell was in the hospital fighting for his life, Von and T. Roy would be tweeting. T. Roy tweeted "man down" only hours after the body was discovered, with Von tweeting #thestruggle, prompting T. Roy to infer that Von was behaving like the police. Von would follow up on this tweet, saying that people aren't dying on time.
King Von and
T. Roy.
That's who this is.
I think.
Okay.
You talking about no, Trey stay alive.
So they just bunking right
saying no, Trell, stay alive. Then, in since-deleted tweets, allegedly by King Von, he would suggest that he had actually spent the day trying to get KI on the phone. However, Boss Trell would be pronounced dead that night at 11:30 PM on the 8th of November 2012. And the following day, King Von would take to Twitter once again to mock Boss Trell and his ops. He would tweet that STL doesn't stand for St. Lawrence, but instead for steady taking L's. Another tweet would drop with King Von telling people, don't worry about who killed who, just be glad that you didn't get killed and shut up. This was followed by another tweet aimed at Boss Trell, saying lol, you ain't a boss to me. Many theories suggested that T. Roy and Von and possibly others were involved in this murder. Some have said that it was T. Roy.
Here's the other thing that I don't understand. If they are, so were they all cool at one point and they had beef and fell out? Because
I think they're just from different hoods.
But they, with them having each other's Twitter accounts, it's like they got to be following each other on Twitter, right? That doesn't
I don't know how
sense.
Twitter work though. I don't got Twitter.
I know I don't. We're gonna get educated in the comments though.
Have said that it's Von, or potentially even the two of them together. But it is worth mentioning that there's an alternative theory that Boss Trell was actually murdered by someone completely unrelated to this feud, who was apparently trying to retrieve a gun that had been taken from him. But regardless of who was responsible, Von and T. Roy were certainly happy to see Boss Trell gone, and they would continue to tweet boldly about it publicly. Their ops on Twitter would warn T. Roy over the disrespect, but for King Von, tweeting about the murders going on in the streets was a must. Von would post saying that the ops had
I have to.
Frequently, and that he doesn't plan on slowing down. He would say that he will kill an op anywhere, and once again reference cereal, saying that he eats cereal after shooting people, another hint in the ongoing joke that Von is indeed becoming a serial killer. Von would even mock the ops for having funerals. He simply didn't care what anybody thought. It seemed that Von was hell-bent on killing his enemies, and he would be hell-bent on tweeting every single time something negative occurred in the streets. However, Von's days would be numbered, and following the next hit that he was implicated in, he would tweet once again, perhaps a little too recklessly this time, finding himself behind bars for over a year.
Been reckless. He had already been way
After the
too
deaths of
reckless.
Modell, P5 and Boss Trell, you would think that King Von would have kept a low profile, but no. He would continue to tweet suspiciously while the killing continued. However, when the next person lost their life, King Von's tweets would go to a whole nother level of self-incrimination, and he would actually find himself on the wrong side of the law. On the 19th of November 2012, 32-year-old man named James Holman, aka Lil James, would be standing on his porch on the 6000 block of South Michigan Avenue around 8:20 p.m. At this point, 4 people would approach his property, opening fire, shooting him in both the arm and chest, with him being pronounced dead in hospital less than an hour later. Only 23 minutes after this murder, Von would tweet, "Man, not on anything," followed by another tweet reading, "Clown ass." Von was mocking somebody, but we didn't know who or what for. Meanwhile, T-Roy would put out a tweet asking if somebody got shot yesterday. And then, only 6 hours after the shooting, Von would tweet that he kills GDs often. And then, in another rare deleted tweet that somebody else from O-Block quote tweeted just 21 minutes later, Von would apparently brag that he has killed 5 GDs and shot 10. With a later news article even confirming that James Holman, the man who was killed most recently, was indeed a gangster disciple. Furthermore, a police report on the Lil James murder would describe the shooter's height and build, which apparently matched Von's description. Now, Von tweeting that he had killed 5 GDs after the death of Lil James is particularly interesting, because there's always been a lot of speculation on exactly how many people Von had killed and who specifically he was responsible for killing. And
at the end of the day, though, that's nothing to be proud of. Taking somebody else's life. You don't know where a person's life is. You don't know. There's so many elements that are missing, and because it's so permanent, it's tragic to see how people take it so lightly. That's so not cool.
On exactly how many people Von had killed and who specifically he was responsible for killing. And at this point in time, Von had been associated with 6 murders in total. So if Von himself is apparently confessing that he has killed 5 people at this point, then it's likely that just one of these murders he had nothing to do with. From here, Von would continue to tweet throughout the day, saying things like, "Dissing him will get your people killed," and another asking openly who made crack block, another reference to the murder of crack, or P5. Unsurprisingly, the authorities would catch up with Von just 3 days after the murder of Lil James. Perhaps they'd read his tweets. Von's capture would be confirmed by a tweet from his sister from his own Twitter account saying that he would be in jail for Thanksgiving, with Von's charges later being revealed as unlawful possession of a firearm. Numerous mugshots of Von would later circulate online, and Von would end up in jail for over a year, for a period spanning from November 2012 to February 2014. And in the meantime, his mother, sister and friends would all tweet from his Twitter account calling for Von's freedom and keeping his name alive. However,
then what's crazy is that I remember when you introduced me to Von, I didn't know any of this.
Look at that tweet.
That's crazy.
Sister would also tweet that Von told her that when he gets out of jail, he's just planning on killing more people. And ultimately, none of the more serious charges would even stick to Von. And he would eventually end up being released back onto the streets of O-Block, where he would, as expected, immediately get back to doing what he loved, drilling and then tweeting about it.
This is
King
crazy.
Von's sister would announce from his Twitter account on February the 11th, 2014 that he would be home from jail tomorrow, with footage of Von cutting off his ankle monitor and throwing up gang signs circulating online after his release. When he got back out, he would be back on the streets and involving himself in gang politics once again. His first tweet out was dissing the OPPS, of course. He would also openly wonder where T-Roy went, as apparently his partner in crime had ended up in jail himself during this time. Also upon his release, Von would also tweet at famous names in the Chicago drill scene like Boss Top, Lil Reese, Chief Keef, E-Day, Rondo Number 9, and Capo. He would then go on to diss 2 people that he allegedly killed, Modell and Crack, but at least initially, it didn't appear that Von was able to commit any more acts of violence, because apparently, following his release, he would wind up on house arrest for a short period. But that didn't stop him from posting pictures of himself at home, dissing Tuka with a gun sticking out of his pocket. Pictures of Von with famous BD
that background, them windows and all that stuff. That's
at home, dissing Tuka with a gun sticking out of his pocket. Pictures of Von with famous BD hitters like T-Roy and D-Rose would circulate around this time, with the likes of Chief Keef even reposting them as a sign of respect for the most feared local shooters, with Von also sharing pictures of his crew to Twitter openly, with the caption simply reading, "Gang members." Von would also tweet about it being a very scary year for the OPPS, even tweeting disrespectful collages featuring photographs of rivals who had been killed recently. Von didn't care one bit what he was posting on Twitter, and honestly, it didn't seem like the police cared either. Von tweeted openly that he will kill someone on St. Lawrence, promising to shoot OPPS in the face and kill them fast, dropping mocking tweets about people he had allegedly killed, like Modell. He would pledge to drop even more bodies, even tweeting that he was shooting as soon as he got off house arrest, and tweeting that he just got a new gun and he wanted to do a drive-by with it. Now, on March the 25th, 2014, GD rapper Lil Marc, associated with a crew called 051, would drop a song called No Competition. This would be a remix of Black Disciple rappers Lil Durk.
It's such a.
Wait, this is
I'm not being disrespectful, but I'm saying it's an unnecessary waste because that dude was a masterful storyteller. It's like I don't understand. Well, yeah, I don't understand some of the stuff that some of my people do, man.
Would drop a song called No Competition. This would be a remix of Black Disciple rappers Lil Durk and Lil Reese's 2013 song Competition. Lil Marc would essentially use Lil Durk's beat to diss him and his OTF crew from Lamron. But it wasn't just Durk that was getting dissed. Lil Marc would diss numerous people associated with the Black Disciples, including people from both O Block and an affiliated crew of BDs known as 600. Lil Marc's song would mock OD Perry and J Money and see him rapping openly that he is a Black Disciple killer, as well as proudly repping his affiliations to his gang set 051 Young Money. This song made Lil Marc a huge target for both O Block and 600. And around this period, King Von would frequently tweet that he was in traffic, riding around the city, armed and looking for OPPS to kill. On March the 28th, 2014, Von would tweet that he was in traffic, tagging D Rose, an infamous shooter from the O Block affiliated set 600, with D Rose himself tweeting that the cops hate to see Von, T-Roy, and him all together. Von would tweet gunshot emojis around 10 AM on the 28th of March 2014. And only a few hours later, that very same day, around 1:30 PM, it's believed that a large group of gang members were riding around in a silver minivan with Florida license plates, most likely a stolen car. Meanwhile, a 20-year-old Mark Campbell, aka Lil Marc, was at a bus stop on the 300 block of East 51st Street. It's believed that that minivan pulled up and a masked man jumped out, shooting Lil Marc in the head, with Mark ultimately being pronounced dead at the scene only minutes later at 1:41 PM, and that minivan connected to the shooting being found in flames at 6:30 PM that very night.
Wow.
It's widely believed that D Rose was the shooter, with King Von being present for this murder. D Rose even posted a clip to social media of him and his friends returning to the scene of the crime and filming, where King Von can allegedly be heard in the background of the car.
Hey, the 251st! Damn, body down. Oh, that doesn't even hold on. Body down, 51st gang.
D Rose would tweet, "Call 'em, never heard of 'em," with a laughing face just 36 minutes after the killing. King Von would tweet, just 42 minutes after the shooting, "Die why?" with a bunch of laughing faces, with this being a sign of disrespect to Lil Marc's gang 051 Young Money. That tweet was then followed by Von saying 051 better keep their head up, with a bunch of laughing emojis. Then he says he lives for this, F the OPPS. And just in case there was any doubt about King Von being present for that murder, he would also reply to somebody on Twitter discussing Lil Marc, saying outright he just saw the murder, with King Von going on to tweet at other O Block affiliates that they would be celebrating that night. Von was speaking so recklessly on Twitter, his sister would even tell him to go in the house, with the defiant Von replying to her with gunshot and demon emojis, then tweeting that Lil Marc's death was getting him attention from women, even going as far to say that Lil Marc's pregnant girlfriend might have cheated on him, followed by another tweet a few days later where Von claimed that he leaves people dead at the bus stop just like before, when you learn that Lil Marc was actually Tuka's older brother. D Rose would also tweet the day after the murder, saying you ain't gotta ask who shot him, indicating that he was indeed the shooter of Lil Marc, as well as proudly saying that he was smoking on Marco. But Von and D Rose weren't the only ones celebrating the death of Lil Marc, because Lil Durk, the original subject of Lil Marc's diss song No Competition, released just 3 days before he was killed, would end up making a trip to the very bus stop where Marc was gunned down, with Durk telling his followers that this was a very special place.
Hey, this bus stop right here though, this a real famous place, yeah? It's a real famous place, baby. Hey, this bus stop, that's a real famous place, baby. I ain't gonna lie.
Because of all of the attention from rappers about this incident, Lil Marc's death became news beyond the local Chicago papers, with this killing taking place during the heyday of DJ Academic's War in Chirac series, where Academics would report satirically on the Chicago drill scene and the shocking crimes going on within it. King Von himself would even go on to rap about killing people at bus stops many years later, as well as on the song Exposing Me, where he says that he is smoking Lil Marc and Tuka. And Lil Durk would go on to do the same thing, rapping in the December 2014 track War with E-Day 600, also saying that he is smoking Lil Marc and Tuka. Now, it's never been definitively confirmed who killed Lil Marc, but it's widely believed that the two most likely hitters are D Rose or King Von. But whether or not King Von actually did it, he clearly got a lot of gratification from just witnessing this murder, further fueling this strange bloodlust that he was cultivating around this time. If he wasn't the one killing, then he would at least want a front row seat and an opportunity to tweet about it. However, it would be the...
What do you think about this?
Some people really do their life. There's nothing you could do to stop it. Like, some people really like that.
I understand that.
So, hey, everybody ain't grow up like good. You think the world gonna have no killing?
No, that's not what I'm saying. I think you don't have to involve yourself in foolishness if you don't want to. You don't have to do it.
Yeah, but it's gonna be people who do it.
Your daddy may be an alcoholic, but that doesn't mean that you have to be. You don't have to. It's choices that you make. I understand there's some situations and circumstances that prove themselves to be challenges, but at the end of the day, it's still choices that folk make, and it's not something that you have to do. You don't.
Murder that would seemingly be Von's most proud moment in the streets, because he would end up finally catching somebody who he had wanted to get for years, leaving clues on Twitter all the way up to the killing. And then, in an insanely twisted turn, not only would Von get away with the murder, but he would go on to appear in a documentary interview about the victim without anybody even working out that the killer that they were looking for was sitting right in front of the camera.
What?
Oh yeah, the K.I. Yeah.
17-year-old gangster disciple Jakira Barnes, aka K.I., was a legendary figure in Chicago gang history, with the Chicago Sun-Times describing her in a prominent feature as a prolific female assassin in the Chicago gang war. K.I. has been described as the real-life Snoop from The Wire, a reference to the masculine female killer from HBO's crime drama. K.I. herself had been close with Tuka growing up, and her rumoured involvement in the killing of O.D. Perry in retaliation would make her feud with O-Block deeply personal. No doubt King Von was obsessed with K.I. Von and K.I. would have extensive back and forths on Twitter, with it being unclear whether he was trying to date her or kill her. Their first interaction occurred on September the 25th, 2012, when Von would tweet claiming to have beaten up an op girl on the train, with K.I. replying to this saying their arm, ear and face were injured, but she's not bothered because her gun will put a hole in her ops faces, with the tweet the following day indicating that she had perhaps shot at Von or somebody that he knows. They would go on to have a back and forth, with Von asking K.I. if she's a gangster or a bitch, with K.I. indicating that she is indeed a real gangster. Von would go on to reply to her posts shouting out her gang, asking her why he never sees her when he spins the block, with K.I. replying that Von can die just like White, with Von saying she better kill him because he will kill her and she doesn't have the good aim like he does. That same day, K.I. would tell her followers to retweet if they think she looks good. King Von retweeted it. K.I. would tweet saying that she'd beaten up someone from O-Block and that they should go and tell Von that she is tough. This would prompt a reply from Von, where he would say he can tell that she's tough, and jokingly asking her if she's looking for a boyfriend, as well as expressing doubt that she had even beat up his friend, with her replying saying she'd caught an O-Block member on the train who had denied being from there when...
She says on folks.
Mm-hmm.
You know what that means?
Right, on fault, yeah. I don't know what it means, I just hear a lot of people say it.
I'll explain off camera.
With King Von's sister chiming in claiming to have been there too, and K.I. saying that her victim didn't even punch her back. All this provoked a sarcastic reply from Von, where he said that he thinks he was falling in love with this fighting female. Von would later post tweets where he said that he's going to treat her right if she becomes his wifey, and later beginning to regularly refer to her as wifey. When K.I. replied to Von would say that he has her on his mind a lot and that he misses her, even telling his sister that he wanted to marry K.I. Now, many years later, somebody on 4chan would claim to have hacked K.I.'s private DMs on Twitter, and revealing that around this time, Von had DM'd K.I. asking her if she wanted to hook up, or more specifically saying he wants to nail her. She would reply saying she's not interested, to which Von replies, when all of this is over, he will have her. More alleged tweets would see K.I. asking Von straight up if O-Block are plotting to kill her, to which Von replies, he's not gonna lie, there are people looking to kill her. But Von would say he doesn't think he can kill her, because he thinks she seems cool as hell, even having the nerve to ask her when she's going to stop gangbanging. KI would reply saying she's not going to stop, calling King Von a goofy and asking him when he's going to stop. Von would laugh and tell her that he's gangbanging until he dies, and that he will never lose or quit, with KI ultimately agreeing with this and saying that she's planning the same thing, before mocking Von, saying he must feel really threatened by her, and questioning if he really thinks they can kill her. Von replies saying that they're trying to kill anyone, they're not just desperate for her specifically, before revealing that he had apparently had his gun on him when he beat her up on the train, but saying he didn't kill her because the police were there along with a woman from his block, with Von saying that if he really wanted to kill her, he would have took his chances and shot her in the train or the street. In response to this, KI would reply, "Come and get it," because she's ready to go to war with anyone, with Von clapping back, questioning why she takes things so seriously. After this alleged private exchange, Von would reply to a public tweet of hers dissing O.D. Perry, and reminding her that he beat her up, even saying that he wishes he'd spat on her afterwards. Now, Von began to use KI pretty much for entertainment, beefing her on Twitter whenever he was bored, but KI would be looking for Von in real life, however. Von would tweet that he has his ops scared at the corner store, and KI would reply saying that she's on the way looking for him. Also tweeting asking where he is, with Von replying sarcastically telling her to be safe in the streets. More alleged leaked DMs between KI and Von would emerge, with KI asking Von where he was, with the two of them seemingly arranging a shootout, with KI even asking if T-Roy can come too. KI later claimed to have walked through O Block and not seen a soul, with Von saying that they're too busy to have a shootout right now. Von would later allegedly DM KI, telling her to call him when she's ready to put a dress on and let her hair down. They'd keep going back and forth on Twitter publicly, building up this insane public history. KI tweeted that she was going to the store, and Von would warn her not to. Von would tweet reminding her that he had beaten her up on the train, with her saying that he's been hiding ever since. Von would clap back, asking when she's coming back to his block for a date, and KI would then remind Von of all the times that people from her side had beaten him up. Other O Block members would tweet their intentions to kill KI too, and she would tweet that she wants to see King Von face to face, and Von would reply, she really doesn't. One tweet would see Von say that he'd spent all day trying to get KI on the phone, and that her voice sounded sexy. Even after Von went to jail in 2013, Von's sister would tweet at KI, saying that Von had asked her to go and visit him in jail, with Von's sister later suggesting that she had even had a fistfight with KI, and saying that she will see her on 63rd, perhaps for another fight. When Von was released from jail in 2014, he would tweet at KI and ask if she missed him, with her replying, asking when they're meeting up, and adding 4 gun emojis, with Von expressing disappointment that KI didn't come and see him in jail like he'd asked. Now, bear in mind, tweeting at KI was one of the first things that Von did upon getting out of jail. He tweeted her twice before he had tweeted at Chief Keef or any of his actual friends from O Block. He was obsessed, but KI would continue to mock Von, asking him how it felt for his friends to die while he was in jail, even retweeting Von's own tweet, saying rest in peace J Money, and going on to insult him in a tweet of her own. This was a reference to Von's friend J Money from O Block, who had been killed in September 2013 whilst he was in jail, with Von retaliating, saying rest in piss to Crack and Modell, with Von even later tweeting that he can't be mad at women unless they're ops, in which case they can die. And another tweet saying how desperate he was to catch a female op. Von and KI would tweet at each other much less in 2014, perhaps because Von was looking to reduce the paper trail leading to him if KI wound up dead. But in the days following Lil Marc's death in April 2014, Von would release some brazen tweets. On the 1st of April, he would tell a friend that he would never start rapping and that he prefers killing ops, and tweeting that he had bodies on his gun. On the 6th of April, KI would tweet saying, people won't get the picture until you put them in the frame, along with a gun emoji. That same day, Von would tweet, saying if you're not where I'm from, you will get killed. That was followed the next day by Von tweeting that he was always looking for a woman and he can't find her, and saying he will stop looking and let her look for him. He would then go on to tweet on the 10th of April that there's some women he would do anything for, telling her to just hit his line. That would be followed by another tweet saying if a girl leaves him, then she's leaving the best. Okay. But it's unclear if he's talking about her leaving him or her leaving this earth. That was followed by more tweets where Von would say if a girl is with the ops, then she's getting shot, and that he's not playing with op girls this summer and they should watch out. In the early hours of the next morning, KI would make the ominous tweet, in the end, we die, as well as tweeting her apparent location just off 63rd. And later that afternoon, KI would be standing on a nearby porch in the 6400 block of South Eberhart Avenue, only a 3-minute walk towards O Block from the location that she had tweeted she was at earlier that day. And that was the day that King Von would allegedly find that woman that he had been looking for all this time. As KI would...
84 from Cottage Grove over there.
4 dead, 36 shots.
If you know, you know. Man.
be gunned down on April the 11th, 2014. The murder report on KI's death would feature a witness describing the shooter who hopped out of a car, catching KI and another man who were about to shoot dice. They would run into a gangway, but the shooter kept firing, apparently even shouting, "Yeah, bitch-ass N-words," as he fired the handgun at KI multiple times. She would be shot 9 times and declared dead just 2 hours later.
For Chantel Brown, the statistics are more than just numbers. Within 12 short hours across Chicago, 14 people were wounded, 2 people killed, one of them being Brown's oldest child.
I'm just gonna miss her presence. She was a very, very beautiful, well-known, lovely girl.
17-year-old Jakira Barnes loved basketball, her friends, and being with family. It's still under investigation what exactly happened Friday afternoon in the 6400 block of South Eberhard, but neighbors say Barnes and a friend were walking along the sidewalk when a gunman started firing.
When the bullet hit, it was so powerful she fell on the step.
Residents who do not want to be identified say Barnes fought to live, but had been shot at least 9 times.
In the jaw, in the neck, and in the chest, and in the leg. 9 times, they said.
Barnes was transported to Northwestern where she died, and tragically for this neighborhood, it wasn't the first child lost to gunfire.
And Von would go on to tweet just hours after KI was pronounced dead, saying that he loves his gang and they love him, before tweeting, "Mad that nobody misses him." And this was followed by people confirming that KI had been killed. O-Block veteran Jay Hood would reveal in a Cam Capone interview many years later that Von came back to O-Block and told him what he'd done immediately after the murder.
But he literally say just like this, I'm looking straight, he meant why I just run up on KI and why I just ran up on them and caught KI. She was the last one running out of the gate. I was like, no way.
The day after the hit, Black Disciple rapper Lil Reese would tweet Von's catchphrase saying that he does his thing, seemingly a congratulatory post to Von, who replied saying, "You gots to." Von would later tweet that he needs a real bitch, and over the next few days, he would once again deliver a flurry of activity on Twitter, tweeting that his ops don't scare him and that the whole gang war is funny to him. He would say that he's lost a lot of friends, so his enemies must die in retaliation. Von would also tweet saying that people wouldn't believe the things that he does in the streets and saying that he will never tell. Von would even copy KI's earlier tweet from the week before her murder about people not getting the picture until you put them in the frame, as well as tweeting at her saying he misses his old girl. Von was clearly in a celebratory mood following the murder of KI, and he would go on to make post after post referencing the ongoing gang war, posting tributes to T-Roy, telling his incarcerated friend that he was going crazy on the streets while he was locked up. Von was seemingly proud of himself for all he was achieving in the streets at this point. He would seemingly update his body count to 6, openly tweeting "homicide in the air" and that he made 6 people extinct for playing hard. Von would even post his own mugshot saying they should have never freed him because he's a menace. He tweeted that he put people's brains in their lap and asked his followers if they would still be there for him when he gets 100 years in jail. Von would suggest that he is only competing in kill counts with T-Roy, suggesting that those two were the most deadly people in the streets at this time. And he would claim to wake up in the morning thinking of nothing but killing people. Other rappers and well-known figures around Chicago drill would continue to tweet congratulating King Von after this murder, people like Lil Reese and Boss Trell. And Von would also tweet on April the 28th that there's only 2 places for a man like him, presumably jail or hell. Clearly, he must have had an inkling, as he would end up being picked up in connection to the murder the following day, on the 29th of April. But Von would never be formally charged with KI's murder. He would deny even knowing her and would initially offer to do a polygraph test, as well as providing...
He denied knowing her.
KI's murder. He would deny even knowing her and would initially offer to do a polygraph test, as well as providing a loose alibi, relying on a woman claiming that she had been with him the entire day of the murder. Combine that with the fact that Von had apparently checked in with his parole officer just an hour before the murder, worked in his favour, despite the crime scene being only 35 minutes from the parole office, meaning that Von had over 25 minutes spare to get there and kill KI immediately after signing in with his PO. As a result of these slick maneuvers, Von would indeed be released the next day and face no further consequences in this situation. And he would tweet that he beat that case like Rocky and that he was in a good mood, showing love to everyone but the ops. That was followed by him tweeting laughing faces and saying that he was grateful to be free and that he's too real. A few days later, Von would be tweeting that he beats bodies and that he doesn't plan on going to prison, as well as seemingly referencing KI's resemblance to Snoop from The Wire and calling her a dead op. Years later, Von would even go on to brag about killing K.I. on songs after he started rapping, famously saying on the track War With Us that he put a pretty oppa bitch in the morgue, you can call her drop dead gorgeous, as well as saying that he keeps a strap like K.I. on the song GTA. For years following this murder, people, including myself, speculated on whether King Von had killed K.I., or whether it was the work of fellow O-Block hitter Big A, who reportedly went by the nickname ASCII, or Ask K.I., after her death, suggesting that he had something to do with her killing. But in lyrics to King Von's leaked song Wait, he seemingly rapped about the day that he caught K.I., with lyrics a lot of people believe would allude to Von jumping out of the car and chasing K.I. down the alley, with Big A being the driver. Von would also rap on the song Cousins that he kills women and men and can't tell the difference. But it wasn't just Von. Lil Durk would also rap in December of 2014, the year that K.I. was killed, on the song War with E-Day, seemingly suggesting that he had owned a gun that was used in K.I.'s murder. Now, rapping about someone that you killed is one thing, but King Von actually went on to do one of the most psychopathic things I have ever seen. Because on May the 23rd, 2019, a documentary about K.I. would air on A&E titled Secret Life of a Gang Girl. This piece goes in depth into the life of K.I., exploring her motivations to become a gang member despite being a petite young woman, as well as interviewing some of the people that knew her during this time. And that documentary about K.I. would interview none other than King Von, who was featured prominently in the documentary, and if you ask me, he was just straight up trolling the TV crew, who clearly hadn't done their homework. Von would appear in the show, portraying himself as having been an infatuated admirer pursuing K.I. for nothing but romantic reasons. And the fact that the film crew didn't even have an inkling that Von was responsible is just crazy to me. And it's not like the info that he killed K.I. wasn't already circulating out there at this point. Because while Von is in jail for his next murder in 2016, word of his story as a shooter in the Chicago gang war would spread on the edgy message board 4chan, where a gang-obsessed 4chan member would claim to have accessed K.I.'s private DMs, exposing those private messages which we already saw between King Von and K.I. all the way back in 2012. With this deranged 4chan user even replying to friends of K.I. from her account who had continued to DM her after her death looking for closure, with that 4chan hacker writing a lengthy post claiming to have been told by a friend of K.I.'s in the DMs that they believed King Von was her killer. Bear in mind, this information was floating around all the way back in 2016, 2 years after the murder and 3 years before the documentary. However, eventually, a whole year after Von's death, in 2021, the Chicago police would release documents revealing that they believed King Von himself to be K.I.'s killer, with apparently multiple witnesses pinning Von as the shooter, but unfortunately, the state decided not to prosecute.
Hey, subscribe for part 3. How long we got? Yeah, subscribe for part 3. Yeah. Subscribe for part 3.
This is just sad. It really is. It's so unnecessary.
Man, that's crazy though. But yeah, if you're new, make sure you like, comment, subscribe, follow on Instagram, give me the 20K on Instagram, 200K on here. If you ain't wearing no socks, subscribe, man.
Y'all be safe out here, please. It's like that. Do you feel depressed or that's hurtful. You don't have to be, man. We can do better. You can do better. You can.
Y'all be safe, gang. Peace.